Hello, welcome to this month's episode of Thanatology 13. I am your host, Becky Floyd from Death Education Central. This month's topic is the journey we never asked for, the hero's journey as a map for grief. One of the cruelest things about grief is that it doesn't only take away the person we love, sometimes it takes away the person we used to be. We often think of grief as an emotional response to death, and it certainly is. But grief is also something much larger. It is a disruption of identity. It asks questions we may never have imagined asking before. Who am I now? What is my place in the world? How do I move forward when the future I imagined no longer exists? For thousands of years, human beings have turned to stories to help answer questions like these. Across cultures and across centuries, myths have provided a language for experiences that feel too large, too confusing, or too painful to explain directly. Among the most influential of these stories is what mythologist Joseph Campbell called the hero's journey, a pattern that appears again and again in myths around the world. Today, I'd like to suggest that the hero's journey is not simply a story about heroes. It can also serve as a map for one of the most profound human experiences, grief. Not because grief unfolds in predictable stages, it doesn't. Not because suffering automatically makes us wiser, it doesn't. But because both myth and grief are fundamentally concerned with transformation. Every hero's journey begins in what Campbell calls the ordinary world. The hero has a home, a community, and an identity that makes sense. Life may not be perfect, but it is recognizable. The hero knows who they are because they understand the world they inhabit. Most of us live our lives in much the same way. We organize our identities around relationships and roles. We are spouses, parents, children, friends, caregivers, colleagues, neighbors. We build routines and traditions. We make plans for the future. We assume some people will always be part of that future. Then something happens. Someone dies. A relationship ends. A diagnosis changes everything. A career disappears. A body no longer does what it once could. Suddenly, the ordinary world no longer feels ordinary. The landscape may appear unchanged, but our place within it has shifted. That's one of the deepest wounds that grief inflicts. We do not simply lose another person, we often lose the version of ourselves that existed because of that relationship. Who am I if I am no longer someone's wife? Who am I if I am no longer caring for my father every day? Who am I if the person who remembered my childhood is gone? Those are not simply emotional questions. They are questions of identity. Campbell described the beginning of every mythic adventure as the call to adventure. Something interrupts ordinary life and summons the hero into an unfamiliar world. In myths, the call may arrive through a mysterious messenger, an unexpected visitor, or a prophecy that cannot be ignored. In grief, the call is rarely so poetic. It may be a phone call in the middle of the night, a doctor pulling up a chair before speaking, a knock at the front door, a pink slip, or the quiet realization that the future you spent years imagining will never come to pass. No one asks for this journey, and that's important to remember. Sometimes people speak about the hero's journey in ways that make suffering sound noble or necessary, as though terrible things happen so that we can become better people. I don't believe that. There's nothing inherently meaningful about tragedy. No one needs to earn wisdom through heartbreak. The hero's journey is valuable for another reason entirely. It reminds us that when the old world disappears, confusion is not failure. It may simply mean that the old map no longer describes the territory. Anthropologists have long recognized that major life transitions often follow a similar pattern. More than a century ago, Arnold van Gennep observed that rites of passage tend to unfold in 3 movements: separation, transition, and reincorporation. A person leaves one social identity behind. They enter a liminal period, a threshold where the old identity no longer fits, but the new one has not yet taken shape. Eventually, they return to society in a changed role. Campbell's hero's journey follows almost exactly the same structure: departure, initiation, return. Grief often does as well. Death separates us not only from the people we love, but from the identities we once inhabited. A husband becomes a widower. A daughter becomes someone whose parents are both gone. A caregiver wakes to discover that the role which organized years of daily life has vanished overnight. The world begins calling us by new names before we know how to live inside them. Anthropologists call this liminality, being between identities, no longer who you were, not yet certain who you are becoming. For many grieving people, this in-between space is one of the most disorienting parts of loss. Campbell gave this place another unforgettable image. He called it the belly of the whale. In myth, the hero is swallowed, buried, imprisoned, or carried into the underworld. Symbolically, the old self dies. Only then can something new begin to emerge. Psychologists describe something remarkably similar when they speak of the collapse of the assumptive world. Our assumptive world is the invisible network of beliefs that allows life to feel predictable. We assume certain people will be here tomorrow. We assume our routines will continue. We assume there will be time. Loss reveals that these assumptions were never guarantees. When they collapse, it can feel as though reality itself has changed. Depth psychologists sometimes describe this experience as a kind of psychic death, not because the individual ceases to exist, but because the old organization of the self can no longer be sustained. The person who existed before the loss cannot simply return unchanged. This is why grief can feel so profoundly disorienting. You're not simply learning to live without someone. You are learning to become someone different. Of course, myths do not end inside the whale. The hero eventually gets out and continues the journey. Campbell called the next stage the road of trials. Dragons must be faced, impossible tasks must be attempted, allies appear, mistakes are made. The hero learns how to survive in an unfamiliar world. Grief has its own road of trials. Most of them are surprisingly ordinary. Planning a funeral, sorting through possessions, learning how to manage finances, cooking for one instead of two, answering questions you don't know how to answer anymore. Like, are you married? Do you have children? How are your parents? There are emotional trials as well. Fear, anger, loneliness, relief that somehow becomes guilt. Moments of joy that are quickly followed by feelings that you have somehow betrayed the person who died. These experiences rarely unfold in a neat sequence. They come and go, they repeat, they surprise us years later. Contemporary grief theory increasingly understands this process not as getting over a loss, but as relearning the world. The house is still standing, the street is still there, the holidays still arrive, but everything means something different now because the relationships that once gave these places meaning have changed. Grief is the gradual work of learning what this changed world asks of us. One of the most important developments in grief research over the past several decades has been the recognition that grieving is also a process of meaning reconstruction. When loss shatters the story we were living, we begin, slowly and imperfectly, to write a new one. We ask questions about what happened. Why did it happen? Could it have happened differently? But eventually another set of questions begins to emerge. Who was I because this person was in my life? What parts of them now live in me? Who am I becoming? This is not about finding a silver lining. Some losses never make sense. Some questions never receive satisfying answers. Meaning reconstruction is not about explaining tragedy. It's about creating a life story that's capable of containing it. This is also why so many grieving people turn toward art. Sometimes ordinary language simply cannot carry experiences like these. So we paint, we write, we sing, we create memorials, we make quilts from someone's clothing. We preserve recipes in familiar handwriting. We build altars, we tell stories. Symbols have always been one of humanity's oldest languages for speaking about grief. Long before psychology existed, mythology understood that some truths are more easily expressed through metaphor than explanation. There's another idea from contemporary grief theory that beautifully echoes the hero's journey. Older theories often suggested that healthy grieving meant letting go of the deceased. Today, instead, we speak of continuing bonds. The relationship changes, but it doesn't necessarily end. In Campbell's stories, the hero returns carrying a boon, a gift brought back from the journey. Perhaps grieving people return carrying something as well. Their mother's generosity, a grandfather's work ethic, a friend's sense of humor, a partner's compassion, a family tradition, a way of seeing the world that now lives within us because someone else once lived beside us. The dead are not baggage we eventually leave behind. They become part of what we carry forward, not physically, but through memory, values, stories, rituals, and identity. Campbell described the final stage of the hero's journey as becoming the master of two worlds. For grieving people, I think those two worlds might be understood as the world before the loss and the world after it. Healing is not forgetting. It's not moving on. It's not returning to the person you once were. That person belongs to a world that no longer exists in quite the same way. Instead, healing is learning to inhabit both worlds at once, to remember while continuing to live, to mourn while still allowing joy to return, to carry the dead while remaining fully present among the living. This is not closure, it is integration. Perhaps that's why the hero's journey continues to resonate across cultures and generations. Not because every grief follows the same path, not because everyone emerges transformed, but because myths remind us that profound change has always been part of the human experience. They give us a language for those moments when life no longer makes sense. They tell us that confusion, uncertainty, and disorientation are not signs that we've failed, they're signs that we are crossing a threshold. The hero's journey is not a prescription for grief. It is a map, and like every good map, it cannot prevent storms, shorten the distance, or choose the road for us. But when the landscape has become unfamiliar, a map can still offer orientation. It can remind us that there was a world before this, that we've crossed into unfamiliar territory, and that we are being changed by what we carry. And that although we cannot return to the person we once were, there may still be a road forward. Not beyond grief, not without the dead, but carrying both into the story of who we are becoming. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Thanatology 13, bite-sized death education for the living. I hope that you enjoyed it. Maybe it helped. If you think it might help someone else, I encourage you to share. And please like, subscribe, and comment on any of the content that connected with you.